Now, let's take a moment just to recap that last question over here. So they gave us a point, negative 4, 4, and then it has a slope of 1/2. So we started with the 4, 4, that's the square dot right there. And then we went up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1, or down 1 left 2, down 1 left 2, and so on. And filled out all the dots, and then you'd connect the lines. And then you could see that the y-intercept was 6, so you didn't really have to do any fuss. You could just say, oh, it's y equals 1/2 plus x plus 6. But the problem with that is graphical techniques work really well when it's whole numbers. Like it came out to be 6. But if it was like 6.235, you'd have no way to know that, which is why it would help if we had kind of an algebraic way to do this rather than just a graphical way to do this. So that's what we're going to do here. So they say, hey, you've got a point to -7 and a slope of -3, 5. So your job is to find the equation of a line that goes through that. Okay, well, this isn't going to be as hard as you might think. So look, the equation of a line everybody knows is y equals mx plus b, right? Right. So what you want to do is you want to say, okay, well, I know it's y equals -3/5 x plus b. Now notice I'm fudging the negative a little bit. You learn in pre-algebra class that when you have a negative with a fraction, it doesn't really matter where the negative is. It can be out in front, it could be up in the numerator, it could be down in the denominator technically. It doesn't matter. I'll just put it up in front right here, but you could also put it with the -3. Either way is good. All right, but we know that it's -3/5 because they told us so, right? Then they said, hey, it's got to go through the point to -7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute -7 equals -3/5, oops, not 65, 5, times 2 plus b. And I'm going to solve this equation for b, right? Okay, so let's see, that's -7 equals, now remember this is really 2 over 1, right? All whole numbers are over 1. So it's, if you multiply, it's -6 over 5. 3 times 2 makes 6. 5 times 1 makes 5. Plus b. And then to find b, all you have to do is add 6/5 to both sides because it's currently subtracted, right? So you just add 6/5 to the left. Keep it fair, you got to add 6/5 to the right. Now, why are you doing that? Well, because they're going to disappear, because -6/5 plus 6/5 makes 0. So you're left with b equals whatever this is. Now, we are not in pre-algebra class anymore. If we were in pre-algebra class, I'd go, okay, multiply by 5 over 5 and get the common denominator and all that good stuff. But you guys have calculators, right? So let's use it. So let me quit, get out. By the way, if you're ever in the graphing screen and you're wondering how do I get out of here, second, quit, mode button right above there. And you can clear old fractions if you don't want them. So you want to take -7, use the little negative symbol down there, plus 6 divided by 5. Enter. And it's going to give you this decimal. Now, if you want to make it a fraction, you could say math number 1. It'll take that last answer you had, CANS, that means your last answer. It'll take it and turn it into a fraction. Enter. So it's -29/5. So you could say, okay, so that's equal to -5.8, which is equal to -29 over 5. All right, so now what's our equation? It's y equals -3/5 x plus, minus 29 over 5. There it is in fraction form. If you want to write it in decimal form, that's okay. I don't really mind. So if you're going to write it in decimals, 3/5 is 0.6, I believe. So it'd be y equals -0.6 x minus 5.8. That would also work. Again, if they want fraction form, then you're going to have to give it fractions. If they want decimal form, they'll do decimals. Sometimes it doesn't really matter, and you can do whatever you like. So there you go. I got to make that smaller so it'll fit on the screen. Hold on one second. There we go. All right, now that was the more difficult one. Let's do the easier one. And I know you're thinking, Alana, it doesn't look easier. Zero's involved. That's never a good sign. But remember that if zero's involved, that's going to kind of make things a little bit simpler on us. If zero's involved, let me put it this way. This is a horizontal line. Has to be, right? Because 0 is the slope. Here. It's a horizontal because m is 0, right? When m is 0, that makes a horizontal line, which means our equation is very simple, y equals b. All you got to do is figure out what number it is and you're golden. Well, it's going to be y equals, now we got to go through this point to -6. So it must be the -6 that goes with that because that's the y coordinate for that line. So your answer is y equals -6. Done. That's all there is to it. So usually that throws students a little bit. So let me give you a couple more examples. Like if they had said it was, let's see, let me just make up another example here. If they had said m equals 0 and it goes through the point -472, just for the heck of it, then your equation would be y equals 72. That's it, right? That's all there is to it. It'd be whatever that back number is. If it's horizontal, it'll be the back number, 72. All right, now for fun, let's give ourselves another little stressing thing here. What if it was vertical? Okay, how would you spot that? So let me make up another example. I know you're probably sick of them, but that's okay. It's good for you. It builds character. All right, so m is undefined. Suppose that was the case. If m is undefined and it goes through -472 again, just for the heck of it. -472, that's going to be a vertical line because I said m was undefined. So this is vertical. I don't know really why I underlined that. It's not that right. So this would be vertical. Vertical would mean it's got to be x equals. So it's going to be x equals, and in this case, because it goes through that point, it would be -4. See how easy that is? So if it's 0, then that's horizontal, which means y is equal to a number. If it's undefined, that means it's vertical, which means x is equal to a number. That's your equation. Cool, huh? I'm going to make a note again real quick. This one was horizontal. So therefore, your answer is y equals 72. Need one more? Feel like you're going to lose it? Okay, let me make it up. What if it was m is undefined, just like before, but it goes through the original point we had, which was 2, -6. Then that would be x equals, did you answer 2? That would be correct. It would be x equals 2. All right, hopefully that's helping you. Now let's get down to the next one. Find the equation of a line that passes through 2 points. Now they didn't give you the slope. Like up here, see how they're giving you slope right there? That's nice. Giving you slope, that's helpful. But if they don't give you the slope, then you've got to find it yourself. You got it. All right, so we're going to have to go find the slope. Let's see here. First thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to write the equation for slope. Actually, I'm going to delete all of this. All right, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, that's equal to, now let's look at our points here. Our y2 is -5 minus our y1 is 4. Our x2 is 1 minus our our x1 is -2. That one's a minus, so I gave it parentheses. So this is -9 over 3, because it's 1 plus 2, that makes 3, which is -3. So your slope is -3. Fabulous. However, that is not the answer. Right? They want the equation of the line. They don't want the slope. We found the slope. That's good. Now, how does that help us? Well, remember, it's y equals mx plus b, right? You now figured out that the m must be -3. So how do you find b? B is the other one you need a number for. Well, you have 2 points, right? You just substitute one of them in. You say, okay, -5 equals -3 parentheses times 1 plus b, which means -5 equals -3 plus b. Then you add 3 to both sides, and you're going to have negative 2 equals b. Now that's not the equation. You're not done. You're just almost done. So you found m. Let me see if everybody's clear. You found m first. You used the 2 points. Find m. Then you use one of the points. It doesn't matter which one you use, but you use one of them to find your b. Right there. Those are the 2 parts you need. And now all you do is say, oh, okay, that means that y equals negative 3x minus 2. Circle it, like all good algebra students would, and you're done. All right, now let's do it again. Over here, we need to find the slope. So it's going to be y2 minus y1. So that's, let's see, y2. y2 is 6 minus 3 over negative 7 minus negative 7. So that top number's 3. That bottom number is 0. So this is undefined. That's your slope. It's undefined. You can have 0 on top. 0 in the numerator is 0. 0 in the denominator is bad news, right? I remember one person taught it as eggs. Like you can have your egg sit on a table, that's okay. But if your table, i.e. your division bar, rests on your egg goes splat. Right? There's some philosophical reasons for why that is that way, but I'm not going to get into it right this second. All right, so if it's undefined, what kind of line is this? That's a vertical line, right? And vertical lines have equations that are x equals. So the question is x equals what? Well, look at the 2 points. Do you see how they have the same x? That must mean that it's x equals negative 7. Now, if a savvy student will actually just look at that and know that it must be x equals negative 7, which is all well and good, except you want to be careful that you show enough work that just in case you made a mistake, you get full credit. You always want full credit, which means you generally have to show work, even if it means you're showing things like that the slope was undefined. So show your work anyway. All right, I think I have time for the next one, so let's do it. So I want to find the equation of a line that is parallel to this one they give me. Now parallel means it's going to have the same slope, but the problem is I don't even know what the slope of this thing is because it's such a nightmare form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get y by itself. I'm going to get y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Now I do that because I want to get rid of that minus 2 business. I want to get y on his own. So that leaves me 2y over here equals negative 8x plus 2. All right, I still don't want this 2 right here, so I'm going to divide by 2 because that's multiplication right there. So I'm going to divide by 2 so to make it go away. But of course you can't do that to the right without doing it to the left. So you have to divide the entire right-hand side by 2 as well, or the left without doing it to the right, whatever. So it's y equals, now what you want to do is you want to break this up. So it's negative 8 over 2 plus 2 over 2. You got to do each one of them separately. I usually do this in my head, but if you're not, as good a student as me, then perhaps you want to break it up and write them separately. So it's negative 4x plus 1. There's your equation right there. Now, that's not what we were looking for. This is the old equation. Oops. Old equation. Okay? Now, I don't want that old equation. I want a new equation, but it's got to be parallel to that old one, right? So I need the same slope as the old one. So I know that my new equation, here, hold on. There we go. All right, so my old equation was that stuff we just did. Now notice the slope is negative 4. So my new parallel equation is going to be y equals negative 4x plus b. Now all I got to do is substitute in, okay, put negative 5 in for y equals negative 4 times 2 plus b, which is negative 5 equals negative 8 plus b, which means when you add 8 to both sides, you're going to get 3. So b equals 3. So that means that it's y equals negative 4x plus 3. And you're all done. Negative 4x plus 3. That's a new line parallel to the old line. They both have the same slope of negative 4.